Yeah, the lights.
Yeah, that's what Jeff over.
Oh, you got it. Anyone know any good jokes? Am I?
We'll give it like 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm going to sit down now. That's okay. Not okay.
It's live streaming, right? Just start pitching yourself right now.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of thousands of people watching you right now.
Start playing some music. Start excited. Walk on stage.
From the visionary mind of self-described amazing software developer, aggressively adequate.
Where did you get the template for your PowerPoint presentations?
It's Google Slides. So the Google machine is the answer to that question. Yeah. It's all online. It's in the cloud. It's up there. Yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So when you guys get to 2 minutes before your presentation should be over, you'll see me raise my hand just so you have a general concept of time
You got it.
as you go ahead. So I won't intro much other than I'll just let them start presenting, and format will be presenting, and then questions can go. We have never cut off questions because they've gone too long, so feel free to ask as many as you want. We'll cut it off if that happens, but I doubt that'll happen. So feel free to ask as many questions as you want after the presentation is over, and we should be good to go.
Sweet. Thanks, Jeff. Love you. All right. All right, here we go. Hi, my name is Mark Srethabhakti, and my project is called Synergy Sign-In Sheet. It's a scalable online customer relationship management software that is designed to add a consumer-facing check-in system to dance studios, but any kind of business that has a check-in system could benefit from this as well. So first things first, a little bit about myself. I am a currently certified and practicing Latin and ballroom dance instructor, as you may know, and I work for a studio called Synergy Dance Zone. So if anybody wants salsa lessons, just let me know. I've got some pretty competitive rates. All right, so I started dancing in college about 7 years ago. Was like my last year of college, and someone handed me a flyer. It was like, oh, maybe I'll try this out. And so, 2 years after that, I graduated, and I came back as the assistant coach for the junior varsity team. Looking sharp there, Mark. All right, so I fell in love with dancing, and so I made that my career for a while at Synergy Dance Zone. And all was well. My passion was my career, but if you've ever tried to make a career in the arts, you know that financial stability is not the biggest draw of that kind of lifestyle. So I decided to look for another passion to pursue, and that's why I'm at Origin Code Academy right now. All right. So thankfully, that was an easy find. Actually, my girlfriend saw a TV spot on Origin on CNBC or MSNBC Money or one of those NBCs, and she told me about it, and I was like, oh wow, 99% job placement. That sounds great. I could go for that. So I enrolled, and here I am. I learned a great deal here, not just about the technologies that everyone uses here in San Diego, all the popular stuff, Angular, JavaScript, C#, .NET, but it's like something bigger than that. It's like intangible. It's a quiet confidence in myself now, because prior to this, whenever I would have to apply for a job, I'd look down at my resume and it would say dance instructor, and I would have to blow up the font like 15 times so that everything looks like there's more stuff on there than there actually was, because there wasn't all that much to talk about. And now, having done so many projects, having worked with so many different technologies, it's a lot better. I'm actually leaving stuff off now. There's just so many things that I've learned how to do here that it's a good feeling. But I think the biggest thing that I learned here at Origin is that nothing is impossible. You just have to figure out how to do it, which brings me to this, my favorite quote. Who here has seen Iron Man? Yeah. So does everybody remember this scene where Tony Stark just he got back from the cave, right? And the bad guy, Obadiah Stane's talking to his engineer about how to make another Iron Man suit, yeah? And the engineer's like, oh my god, it's impossible. The technology doesn't exist yet. And Obadiah Stane comes back and is like, look, it's right there. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. And so every project that I come into here at Origin, or I did come into at Origin, was originally impossible. It looked like gibberish, and I didn't know how to approach it. But I knew one thing, and that was Tony Stark could have done it. Cameron and Sean had already done it. 3 other cohorts before me did it. So the solution out there exists. Nothing new has been made under the sun, and so I can do it. I can find a way to do what I would think was impossible. All right, so that brings me to my final project. So I told you before I work at Synergy Dance Zone, and as I was looking for a final project to do, I wanted to marry the two loves that I have. I have dance and I have software development. So I asked my coach, Peter, the studio owner, like, is there a problem I can help you solve? Because I know all this coding stuff now after 12 weeks. And he told me, oh my god, yes, there is a very specific problem that I have with the way people check in. So right up here we have the sign-in sheet for private lessons at Synergy Dance Zone. If you'll notice, it has a date on it, which suggests that if this is August 10th, there are 9 others for this month, and at the end of the month, someone has to sit down and count up how many lessons were taught, and that way people get paid. So instead of having this sheet, and this has been, this has worked for about 10 years since the studio's opened. We thought we could make a software that allows people to just check themselves in. Because there are other softwares on the market right now that allow people to check in for classes just like this, but everyone has to have their own login identity. Everyone has to go to a site and check them, like log in, make their own username and password, and we thought we could simplify it by having just one tablet at the front desk, just signed in to a studio user login, that people can just walk in and check in without having to pull out their own phones and check in themselves. It also helps with independent studio instructors. So everybody that works at the studio isn't an employee of the studio. Sometimes we've got traveling coaches or other people that aren't on the studio payroll. I'm a studio employee, but not everybody is. And our system doesn't track them because you never know who's going to be walking through our doors, right? Which teachers are teaching when. And so what they do is they pay someone at the desk to rent the floor for a couple hours. And so this system also allows the studio to track all of these independent instructors that walk through our doors that just want to rent space. Because all students that come through the doors will check in at the front. Okay? So we looked to solve it. I worked very closely with Peter about this. He had a lot of input. He was our product owner. So all of this is a combination of of that word. All right? So the way it works is there are 3 different user roles, and I'm going to walk you through in the live demo all the different views that everyone can see. Everyone has a login. There's 3 different kinds of logins. We've got the studio user, and there's only one studio user for the entire studio. And that studio user has just one view. They can add students and check themselves in. The studio teacher has its own dashboard view that can view all the lessons that they have personally taught and also edit, change, delete, add more lessons that they themselves have taught. So that if, say, one of your students forgot to check in, they can, add that in very easily. And then we finally have the studio owner role, which is something that Peter really wanted, the owner. He wanted to be able to view and make edits and change everything, all the lessons that have been taught, and also do little metrics on them, like count them up, and that way everyone can get the accounting done and get paid on time. There's also a previous versions, so you can tell, as an owner, you can tell if people have gone through and changed a lot of things in your database, because it tracks that. It tracks when a lesson update has been made and who made the update. So that was a very heavily requested feature so that you can keep everyone accountable to that. All right? So the technologies I used for this application are the mean stack. We have MongoDB, Express, Angular, and Node. So Angular and Bootstrap were used to build up our front end. Node and Express were our back-end API, and MongoDB is where we host our data. And our application has been pushed up to Heroku right now. So my Heroku is our web server here. And if you want to take a look at it, this is where you can find it. There's a studio user login that I've built up so that if you wanted to just play with the studio user view by yourself, you can go ahead and do that. Cool? All right, cool. 2 more seconds. If you wanted to write that down, it's also on the flyer. All right, here we go. Okay. So this is our sign-in page. The authentication and authorization system was built using a JSON web token and a bcrypt.js encryption system for password hashing. So it was just a plug-and-play kind of plug-in for Express. It allows you to create a JSON web token which stores user data and sends it back to the browser on user authentication. So the first view we're going to visit is the user view. This is what someone would see on a tablet as we walk through the studio. So here we go. We're going to go with synergyuser@gmail.com. The password is Samba Mambo 123, which coincidentally is the Wi-Fi password at the studio, in case anyone cares. All right. So this is all people can use the application to do when they walk in. It's very simple. It's a business-minded, small business kind of layout. No bells and whistles. Nothing to confuse our consumer. Basically, it says, please check in for your private lesson. You can add a new student, and you can also select students from a drop-down list, agree to the terms of service, and sign in. Okay? So real fast, let's create a new student. Let's add Tony Stark. Tony.stark@gmail.com. He lives in San Diego. He lives at the Avengers Tower. But the one that's in San Diego. He's now. All right. Okay, so a new student has been registered. If I wanted to go check that, I can see that on the drop-down list we have Tony Stark here at the very bottom. If I wanted to search for him, I could also type in Tony Stark and he will show up on my drop-down list. So let's say that I actually have something to teach Tony Stark. Let's dance. My name is Mark. That's my teacher ID. This is my student, Tony. It's a 45-minute session. We're going to jam. I acknowledge that it's difficult and potentially dangerous. I agree. Sign in. Blacks out. Everyone can acknowledge that your lesson has been created, and 5 seconds later it returns you back to the home screen having created the lesson. Okay? So that's all the user can see. That's all the user can do, just so that there's very little that can go wrong. All right? So that's the user view. And so now I'm going to show you the teacher view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, I'm going to log out. And I'm going to log in as our venerable Cameron will be. His password is the very safe and secure password. All right, and it takes you to my teacher dashboard view. Okay, this is all the lessons that he's taught. Cameron has taught these lessons, or I've created these lessons for him today. He's taught one lesson at 9 o'clock today to Adrian, and another one at 11 o'clock with Jane Doe. And so from this dashboard view, Cameron can edit, save, and delete any lesson object that he himself has created. And he can also filter out and look at all the lessons that he's created over the last few days, weeks, or months by adjusting these filter fields. So let's say I want to go back 3 days. Apply the filter here. Okay. So we see that Cameron has taught 5 lessons in the past 3 days, since Monday. Okay. And if I wanted to filter that some more, I could say I only want lessons where he taught Adrian. And it filters back down to just that much. Okay? So in addition to this dashboard view of viewing and editing and creating lessons, they can also go to a teacher profile. We'll go to the teacher profile, which shows their teacher profile information. So the first part, the username, is what they use to log in, and the rest of the profile is what the teacher's information is. So I can go here, I can pull up the edit profile. Let's say I change the phone number to 33333. I can save the changes, and it's reflected right here on the teacher profile right then and there. And they can also change their password for their username and login. So when I change the password here, I have to sign in one more time, the very safe and secure password, and I can enter in a new password. It'll log out the user and prompt you to log back in again. And so if I wanted to log back in, I could log in with my new password. It's longer, that's why you can tell it's a new one. Right? Yeah. And there you are, you're back on the teacher dashboard. Okay? All right. So that was the teacher dashboard view. The last view is for the studio owner, people like Peter, the people that run the studio, so they can do metrics and everything. So I'm going to log in as an owner view. Okay? I'm going to log in. I have made myself an owner. I own property. I'm a landowner. Here we go. All right. So as you can see, the teacher view has a slightly different user interface. There's a couple more columns. They can do a couple more things. So first off, you can see that there's more than just the 2 lessons that Cameron taught. There's a total of 5 lessons here. So as a studio owner, I can see every lesson that was taught at my studio, as it should be. Okay? I can do the same edit, save, and delete functions as I could as a teacher. And there's a separate little tool that allows you to view the version history of any lesson object. So if you take a look here, Cameron's lesson with Jane Doe at 11 o'clock seems to have been edited 2 times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that, and it'll highlight that one and pull down the lesson history down into a drop-down table at the bottom. And from there you can see that he originally taught it. It was made by John Doe at Gmail at 11:32. It was changed to 10 o'clock today by Cameron himself, and then I made a last edit today at 10:52 to make it 11 o'clock. So you can tell when a lesson has been edited and by whom all the way through. Okay? Finally, you can also filter by teachers, obviously, because now that I can see all the lessons total, I can filter by teacher. So I can say that I only want teachers. I can only want Mark's lessons, and there they are. Cool. The last thing that the studio owners can do is they can see the management of teachers. It counts up all the lessons that have been taught by month, so that every month you can do very quick reporting. You can figure out how many lessons someone has taught, and you can pay out or collect floor fees. Remember, because teachers can come in and rent the studio. Every time they teach a lesson, they have to pay, right? They can count up how much they owe, and we can very quickly bill them out. So if you take a look, it says here Cameron has taught 7 lessons in August. Let's go back to the dashboard and verify that. I'm going to move it to here. Cameron will be. And we'll see that Cameron has indeed taught 7 lessons. It counted them up, and it works just fine. Okay? Are there any questions? That is the application. I use MongoDB and I use Mongoose to do up the schemas and send all the information to the database from Express and Node. Yeah. So,
what was one of your best parts doing your application?
I think the best part about building this application is that it's being built for somebody for a very specific purpose. Like, I like the fact that I got to work with somebody to design it, and also that hopefully as I move forward with this application, I can beef it up production-wise and put it out into the world for people to actually use. I'd really like to do that. So that is the next step of this application.
Can you speak a little bit about picking up mean stack and all that you learned here? Transferable.
Sure. Yeah, so everybody here that's in the cohort, they know that they're doing a C#.NET SQL stack. The mean stack is touched on a little bit and not really emphasized. So when I went to do this project, I wanted to do the mean stack because I wanted to see if I could do it. Picking it up was pretty easy because all the coding is done in JavaScript, and since we do so much JavaScript here at the bootcamp, all the syntax is preserved. There's no new language to learn. All that you need to do is really install the Express plugins, the Mongoose plugins to use those functionalities, and it integrates very nicely. And there's just a wealth of tutorials online on how to build the JSON web token authentication system, how to scaffold a database using Express, how to use Mongoose to do all that stuff, and routing from Express. There's tons of Treehouse ones, Pluralsight, Scotch.io, Stack Overflow. There's tons of it, and so it was fun because everything here is fun, right? And it was also a little bit challenging, but I was able to do it.
What was something that I would say would be a hurdle that you ran into with your application? What happened?
Okay. There's a couple features that had to be cut for time. I wanted to do a lot more robust metrics, but I settled with counting. Counting up all the lessons is the core functionality of what the manager wants to do, the owner wants to do. So there were some interesting workarounds I had to do to get the teacher's lesson count attached to the teacher objects that had to do a lot with retrieving the information and then looping through it and just adding them to the database, from the database into the teacher objects. So that was probably the most difficult problem I had to solve. But yeah, it was fun. Everything was fun.
What was your greatest challenge?
The greatest challenge overall, I think, was designing and scaffolding the database in a way that has all the information that my teacher and the studio owner, product owner, wanted to have, but also related to each other in the right way. So drawing up the schemas, because Entity Framework does a really good job of just do these models, and it just kind of interrelates really fast. There's a little bit more coding you have to do to just map it out in your head with Mongoose, because it doesn't have that core automation for doing your database structure. So yeah, it was also doing the version history was interesting. Having the lesson objects store copies of itself as an array was a solution that I found to versioning, because there's a lot of plugins that say that they'll do versioning, but none of them actually work, or they're decapitated or deprecated. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You want to put on the mic? Okay. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Okay. Hello. So my name is Jason Luna. Today our application that we're going to be presenting is called Lilt. It's a social media application. And before we get started, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and viewing everybody's presentation and taking the time out of your day. So thank you for everybody that showed up. And so a little bit about myself. Before I started Origin Code Academy, I was a cashier at a restaurant called Board and Brew. And I took a little break after working there for like 5 years. And then I found out about coding, this coding boot camp. And I thought it was pretty interesting, like making pretty much something out of nothing. Like you could build web applications, mobile applications, just software in general is pretty like interesting in technology. So I just signed up and I mean, haven't looked back since, so it's pretty interesting. So, go.
Hi guys, my name is Ali. A little background about me is I work at front desk security for General Atomics. I did go to school at Cal State San Marcos. I did not finish it. It was kind of hard trying to work full time and trying to finish school. And then that's when I heard about this boot camp, and then I took a chance, 3 months, to take it off, just to see what it can do. And here we are today. And yeah, this is our GitHub right here. The information.
So for technologies, as you can see for the front end, we used Ionic, Angular, HTML, CSS, and then Cordova, Apache Cordova, which I think is, yeah. And then for the back end, basically we use the mean stack as well, Express, Node, and MongoDB, as well as Mongoose for the schema.
Stepping up to this project, like in this class we created a lot of web apps, but with this project we decided to do something different, and so we decided to create a mobile app just to see how it is, and we decided to go with the social, like a social media app, just to like gain experience and pretty much see what we can do. And the technology we use right here is called Ionic, and what it does is it creates for both platforms of both iOS and Android. So it kind of saves you time and money. Instead of developing for one, you get both of them in one. And
just wanna.
And as you can see right here, this one's kind of live. This is iOS version, Android version. They both work.
I'm gonna put up your phone in. And
yeah, I'm gonna give you a live demonstration of the iOS one because I have an iPhone. So this is our app right here.
gonna go. Just like close it and open it
There
again.
you go. So we're gonna start with registration. I'm gonna register Jason.
Haven't done that a million times.
One day.
Could be pretty sooner than later. Just
Password.
put it, yeah.
Password. Sign up.
Oh, live demos, man.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna sign
Did it
up.
work? Okay.
There you go.
Perfect.
So
That's weird.
this is like a typical visual kind of thing. So it has the same tabs as in the home social media app, like the home button, search button, camera button, notification profiles we'll go through. And so what ours, some of the capabilities ours has is take a picture, same thing. That's a default picture. When you don't have a picture, we'll just have a default picture, and then you guys want to say cheese?
Alright.
So we'll use this. And some of the functions that we still working on, we want for future, we want to get it going is, you know how sometimes you take pictures and you're like, oh, I don't like this, but you kind of want to hold on to it instead of deleting it. So what we're going to have is like a little scroller, as you can see, is every time you take a picture, it pops up here. And at the end, you can choose the one you want and then post that one. And then, so we'll go ahead and post this. And it goes straight to your profile, so people can like and comment and whatnot. And then these are the other pages. This is the notification page. When people like or comment, your stuff will pop up in this page. And then your typical search page, you can look for your friends over here. And yeah. And then there's the home page where everybody's stuff will come down here. So, and
Also, another functionality that we're working on is the group story. As you guys saw when we first went to the camera functionality, they had a group story and a single story. So the group story was going to be where you can invite other people and to a group, and then when you make a group, everybody that takes pictures, those pictures will be stored into a so-called group, and everybody can view the pictures or delete them, edit them, whatever they want to do to their pictures in that group that everybody can view that you invited to that group. That we're still currently working on, but definitely gonna. Oh, the choose file. That's also for needs a little bit more styling, but that was we have a choose file thing, so you can also take pictures from your phone as well. Obviously, you can choose from the photo library.
so when you click on it.
So you click on it.
So pretty much when you click on it, this actually lets you take pictures or videos, or you can access the photo library, like so. And then, yeah, and then if you want to take a video real quick, switch to video, record, hello, where is it? See, it pops up there, so we do have it, we just haven't got enough time to play around with it, so it's definitely there.
So yeah, I don't know.
Our app, I guess, right? Do we have anything cool?
Yeah.
Nice.
Any questions? So any,
How did you get that file uploaded to where?
so initially we wanted to save it to the database, but everywhere we found online there was like really hardly any documentation, and everything we could find on uploading the file to the database, everybody's saying like that's bad practice, don't do it on Mongo, like there's better ways to do it. Everybody was either doing it like on Azure or Amazon has like a cloud service like S3 or something. So the way we did it was we actually just uploaded the files to a public folder in the server and then just retrieve it from there. So it actually doesn't save to the database, which still hopefully working on and hopefully improve on that. So definitely want to be able to add that to the database. Yes.
Did you use a completely, like, the same code for both the Android and iOS versions, or did you have to
It's the
tweak it
same
a little
code.
bit?
'Cause you just
Same
have to
exact
build
code.
it, when you first start your app, you just have to build both platforms, and after that, whatever you code works both of them. So.
Yeah, so that's what actually, what is it? Cordova actually does that for you. So it's like, as I understand, it's like a middle layer. So like you have all your code and everything's like exactly the same, and Cordova kind of like is that middle layer between the Android and iOS, and it just basically transforms it for you. So you don't really have to do anything. It's like wrapped, everything's usually wrapped in like ionic tags, but besides that, everything's the same. Like you have your image tags, source tags, whatever. Yes.
Was there any limitation to programming in that method versus just doing native Swift and native Android?
Yes, so I guess like styling is one thing. It does make it for you as here. I don't know how to explain. So if you want to, like you saw that he had it on his phone, his iOS. So if I were to put that on an Android phone, it converts it to like a native application for Android. So how the tabs, he had them in the bottom, that's more native to Apple users. But for Android users, it's more native in the top. And it's like little things like that. As well as like the options buttons, I think it's more normal for Android users to have it like in the top left, and then Apple users usually have it in the bottom. It's just little things like that, like it does it automatically. You can't.
UI differences are pretty much.
Yeah, everything else is pretty much the same. Yeah. But I think if you want like a more specific, like if you want it specifically for Android or iOS, it'd be better to do like Objective-C or Swift or Java for Android. But this is a pretty cool like cross-platform, like kind of something really quick if you want to do it for both. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your process and like what each of your roles were in building the app?
Yeah, of course. So for me, I did most of the stuff in the back end. So I did the server and the set up the schemas and stuff for the database, and then
My role was pretty much playing with Ionic and all its plugins and stuff, like the camera options and everything that on, so the visuals pretty much.
Front end and back end split.
Pretty much. We had like
Kinda.
touch on both, but like majority wise was that. So.
yes.
So working together in this new platform, what would you guys would say is a key takeaway, like something you guys accomplished and during your work on your project?
Let's see. Major key.
Something you're super
Obviously.
excited that you were able to accomplish.
I mean, pretty much having our app go on a live database and having it on our phone is like actual app you click on. It's like not just your idea, but it's actually your work on your phone. It's pretty cool.
Also, we do have the server side for application. It's posted on Heroku, so it's actually serving. So when you saw him log in, he was actually connected to a live like database, which is I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we didn't
Even though
use
something really
one
simple.
wasn't up, so it was all Heroku.
Yeah, so we didn't have to do none of that like whatever God or that Nodemon stuff. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. Yes.
Is there like some type of deep meaning behind your name?
We just chose it randomly, honestly. Not real any.
Sounded cool.
Yeah. No real meaning behind it.
In order to sue some copyright issues, it's like a pineapple-based drink.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We have heard that it's a pineapple drink, so I have to change the name. Yes.
Was it challenging to go from building primarily web applications to a mobile application?
I think the major challenge part was like everything we worked with was kind of new, something we didn't do in class, like the whole Ionic thing and the mean stack. It wasn't something we did in the class, so. But like just like from our experience with the class, kind of helped us pick it up a lot quicker. Because like we like in the past like 3.5 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever, we taught ourselves this and we built it. So I think it was just that.
Also, another thing going off of him, I think the most difficult part about actually working with Ionic is that it's fairly new. So some documentation is not always like correct, and it's still kind of buggy in some parts. That's probably the major issue. I think it'd be a little bit easier if I had more documentation and a little bit more years that people have played with it. So I think that was probably one of the biggest challenges working with it.
I mean, apps are always buggy, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. So that. Any more questions? Okay. I think that's it.
I'm like, who's next? You're just standing up. You might need that.
Hey,
Some water. Right. Where's the mic? Hey, mic. Okay, we'll try to have a little fun here. Not that my app is funny. Just want to point that out. Welcome, everyone. I'm very excited. My last day here. Woo! Name is Rick Nogueras. A little bit about my background. I used to be a computer support specialist. I was the guy you called if we had a job, Monday morning especially, call help desk. I forgot my password. I'm locked out. That was an ongoing thing every Monday morning especially. That's just a smidget of many other things I used to do, create profiles, new hires that started in the company. I did that for about over 10 years, and then I thought it was time for a change. I was getting a little burnout. I do have a bachelor's in computer science, and I can assure you that it did not prepare me for this course whatsoever. This was a completely unique experience. And so what I learned here is the main thing was how to be an efficient software developer. Okay, that's a big key, how to be not just a software developer, be efficient one. And I learned technologies here, JavaScript, Angular, jQuery, C#, and databases such as SQL and just recently Mongo. It's really hard to pinpoint what I took away from this course. Just one thing. I learned a lot about how to collaborate with a team. We've had team projects together. We've had projects individually, but regardless of the situation, we were always there to help each other out to get through it. Build self-confidence. I'm pretty sure a lot of you students can agree that you look at a project, an assignment given to you, and you're like, how the hell am I going to do this? I have no clue what this is about. But you surprise yourself. You can't get through it. When I started this final project, I was debating, should I stick with the technologies that I know, pair up with somebody instead of doing this by myself? But with the confidence that I got in this course, I decided not only to do it alone, but to try a whole different language that I've never had before. So, and so that's why I chose MeanStack, like most of the rest of the class, mainly because I wanted to see what the big hype is about. I hear a lot of good things about it. It's the end thing out there, and so I figured give it a try. And I was able to learn this, learn in about a week or so, and then after that I had enough knowledge to start putting my project together. And so on to my project. So, and before I go on to this, why did I choose this project? Why did I want to do this? I'm a single person. I'm a single guy. You know, I don't have someone to cook for me, and I had to learn to cook. And so I'm willing and able to learn to cook, but as long as the recipes are very simple to follow. And so a lot of us guys, you know, we go out there and we're searching for recipes. I myself, one of them, and I come across a recipe that has 15, 16, 20 items on the ingredients. So when I look at these, I'm like, forget about it, I'm not gonna touch this. So one of my strategies is to go out there and look for simple recipes. And by simple recipes, I'm not talking about, you know, grilled cheese sandwiches and peanut butter and jelly. I'm talking about some real healthy dishes that are easy to put together. And, you know, also, you know, I don't want to go eat out a lot. I also don't want to spend too much time in the kitchen. I also wanted an app where if I was out in the shop doing some shopping, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do for to cook that night, I'll just pull up the app. I'll look for a recipe, and all the ingredients that I need to purchase, I'm out shopping. I'll pick them up right there. And there are times when you never know. You get, a guy gets a text from a girl and say, "Hey, I'm coming over." Now what are you going to do, right? I got you all covered. So here's my home page. When I go to my About page, basically this is just explaining everything I just told you, why I came up with this app. Why the purpose behind it. And guys, you have to just give it a try. You got to just go in there and give it a try. Like I have in my last sentence right here, you'll be surprised what you can accomplish and how impressed the ladies will be, right? Now, I'm not going to throw you in the kitchen without being prepared. So under the Tools tabs, here are the items every guy should have in their kitchen. I don't know how much to emphasize this other than when you purchase knives, don't be cheap, okay? Get some good knives. You got two types of knives here. This chopping knife became one of my favorite. I use it almost every meal, and it makes my life so easier. What makes my life even more easier when these knives are properly sharpened. The reason you want to spend more on the knives because they hold a better edge. You get good knives, be sure you have a sharpener. Keep them sharpened because if they become dull, you're going to be frustrated and you're going to say, "The hell with this, I don't want to be in the kitchen anymore." If they're nice and sharp, it makes your life a whole lot easier to experience in the kitchen. Here are other common items you want to have. Pots and pans, you want to have non-stick pans. The wok, don't be afraid of the wok. When I saw the wok, I'm thinking, I don't know anything about this wok, but learn. I have recipes in here that will show you how to go about cooking in a wok. You don't have to be Chinese, okay? You can put together a meal, an easy meal. All you need is, some broccoli, some pasta. Put it all together, and if you're making it all, if it's just one dish, all you need is one pan. You're set, ready to go. Skillet. Well, that's more of a graduation level there. After you've done the cooking, you learn some things. The skillet is neat because you can start your cooking from the top stove, and some ingredients, some recipes will require you to continue that cooking in the oven. You start your cooking at the top, you got your oven nice and hot, put it straight in there. You can even do steaks on this if it's a rainy day, you can't grill. And cocktail shaker, there's a reason why. There's a reason why I have that there. Okay, moving on. The essentials. These are items you should have in your cupboard, in your refrigerator, your freezer. These are seasonings you're going to use in some of the recipes that I have here. Have them on hand at all times. You don't have to buy all these jars that we all used to purchasing in the stores. If you go to a place like Sprouts or Fraser Farms up north, they have bulk, seasoning bulk items you can purchase by the ounces. You can purchase by the ounces. So you don't have to, use it a little bit. Now it just sits in your cupboard for who knows how long before you use it again. So if you buy them by the bulk, you can buy by the ounce, go through them, and you're done. Here are your sauces you should have, your oils, other things you should have. I can't emphasize how important it is to have frozen shrimp in your freezer. Go to Costco, get a bag of frozen shrimp. The reason why is because you're ready to, okay, the date is a perfect example. She's coming over. You got steaks, but they're frozen. Your chicken is frozen. It's so easy to defrost shrimp. You put a little bit in a bowl with some water in it. Doesn't have to be warm water. Give it a few minutes, and that's it. You got a meal between that, basil pesto, and penne. Those three items right there. And then, here's where you find the recipes. Hover over recipes. In your protein category. You have chicken, beef, pork. What's on the chicken? Let's see. These are the recipes, examples recipes. These items here, you may look at it and say, damn, that is a lot. No, it's not a lot. Trust me, I've looked out there. This is half of the ingredients that I typically find out there, and they're very common. They're very common ingredients. You look at this title, garlic chicken primavera. It sounds complicated, and it is. Just the name sounds fancy. Chicken breast, asparagus. I mean, these are simple items. You follow the recipe, the ingredients, the preparation, and you're ready to go. Got carbs, got burgers. These are, there's still, and by the way, there's still a lot more. There's still a lot more recipes. One of the things, and maybe I might have missed this, but the other reason I have this put together is because, you know, in all these devices, and every device I'm on, laptop, computer, I search for these recipes and I end up saving them on that device. So I got recipes scattered everywhere. I want one app that I can consolidate everything here. And that's why I'm happy that I came up with this. What else? I got veggies, got breakfast. Cooking with beer. Give it a try. You know, there's these are examples here. Beer-based barbecue pork chops. There's ingredients. Some will require light beer in it, some with dark beer. Even this asparagus. Just put a little bit of dark beer in there. Just follow this. You'll be amazed. The bar. This is where your shaker comes in. I love Moscow mules. You never tried it? Give it a try. Look at the ingredients. Simple. Vodka, ginger beer. And beer is not, ginger beer is not beer. It just means that it's not ginger ale. There's a difference between ginger ale and ginger beer. Ginger beer has a little more ginger, intense flavor. It's typically used for Moscow mules. There's no alcohol in that. The alcohol is right here. Cosmos. The ladies love Cosmos. Very simple. You know, cranberry juice, triple sec, shake it up, pour it, and she'll be impressed. And guys, here it is. Place for dates. Okay? She's coming over. You got now why do I have this? Serious. Now why do I have this? You don't want to serve a big, thick piece of chunk meat to this woman, right? You don't. It's got to be somewhat romantic. It's got to be light, something light. You don't want something that's going to weigh you down because there might be something that's going to follow later and you need energy for that, okay? Dancing, right? You don't want something that's going to weigh you down. So what do I have in here? Salmon. You can't go wrong with salmon, right? Salmon with brown sugar mustard glaze. I did this myself. Very good. If you want to get a little more fancier, and I did this as well, portobello mushroom stuffed with salmon. This takes a little longer to prepare, but it's just one meal. Easy, and it'll impress the hell out of her. Things go right, you got to have breakfast, right? You never know. What's on the breakfast? It's always nice to have some sweet French toast, right? And the French toast, notice, thick bread. They're not sliced bread. If you use sliced bread, the batter you're going to make that I show you here is just going to soak right up. If you have it thick, and you don't want them fresh bread either. Once you buy the thick sliced bread, put them in the fridge for a few days and then use them. Let them stay up a little bit. That way they don't soak up so much of that batter. That is it. Now, I'm a guy and I see this, I come across this recipe. I'm like, holy shit, this is what I've been looking for, right? I went in on this. So, on the right, here's the join us button. And let's create a fictitious person here. We're going to say Peter, and yes, Parker. You can tell I've tried them already. Spidey. register, please log in. So once it's registered, it's going to give him the okay and tell him to log back in. So let's log in. As soon as I log in, it's going to open up a whole new page, and this is where I enter my recipes. Just to do an example here, if I'm going along the internet and I come across a recipe, I'll just copy and paste this one just for demonstration. I can just paste it in there. And this is a neat, by the way, this here is what I'm using is a third-party HTML text editor. For those current students, if you ever want to do that, I highly suggest you do this, because if you just use a regular text area tag, you can format it however you want there, but it's very limited. Then when you send that information to the database, when it comes back, you're not going to get it the way you send it. It's going to come back in one big paragraph. The text editor helps you format everything. You send it, and it comes back exactly as you sent it. So, for example, I can do bullet points. Down here, I can say, hey, I want to highlight this. I can highlight this. So these are all things you cannot do on the regular text editor, text input. I can put numbers here. Now, if you have all this information, great. If you don't, don't worry about it. Let me go back and get this. Yeah, I forgot what the name of that. We'll just call this penne pasta. This is a requirement. If I try to send this, it's going to tell me, please select a category. You need to select a category. So let's say this is carbs, right? Add it. It's gone. Recipe loaded. I want to check. Go to carbs. There it is. And it comes back exactly as I input it. Okay? Now, as I enter a recipe, it'll post on the bottom. This tells me these are my recipes, which is why I call the tab My Recipes. I want to know which ones I have. If I'm done with, if I feel like I'm not using, I don't care about this recipe anymore, I can just delete it, and it's gone. Recipe deleted. And let's see, am I missing anything? I think I covered the base. Yeah, that's pretty much it. When I'm done, log out, back to the home page. And there you have it. Recipes for guys. Thank you. Questions? Sir?
Have you considered connecting with an online grocer so they can deliver, so I can pick, meals for the next week, and then it'll build a grocery list and order that from, I don't know what they're called. There's a bunch of different delivery services.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Grocery services. And the other thing is potentially selling the pots and pans and the knives and the things. You can monetize it that way. And there's, distributors that sell all that stuff that could drop ship it for you.
Right.
You could generate some significant revenue from that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential here. And that's good to know. In fact, let me write that down. I'll write it down there. But yeah, it's good to know. One of the just a simpler thing that I have ideas with the current pots and pans. I mean, you can easily Google this stuff, but to make life easier, just put a link to those so that when they click it, it'll take them to where they can purchase it. And who knows? It might be someone I'm making business with and have the guys purchase it and get profit from that. So yeah, there's a lot of ideas that I'm still kind of playing with. There's still feature I want to add to this as well. Some more advanced feature.
With Amazon, if you just send off the link to Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I know your target market, I can imagine, would just be people who just want to buy, get stuff quick and just forget about it.
Right, right. Yeah, you don't want to do too much searching. Just show me where it's at and, do the shopping from there. So. Any more questions? Yo.
You mentioned your third-party text editor. Talk a little bit about that, how you implemented it in your application.
Well, this was thanks to my instructor Sean. He helped me a great deal put this thing together. The text editor is called Angular Tricks, and you can actually do a bio install Angular tricks. In this particular case, because it was a little tricky, because the Angular Tricks, to get everything working, there is a small snippet to get it working. But what made mine more difficult was because all the other fields that I had there for the calories and all, those are all pretty much in the same form. We had to be figured out to just tell text editor I'm only interested in the one field and not utilize other ones. So I had to create a whole different new function just to get the text editor to work exactly how I wanted it. So that was the challenge. That was probably the most challenging part of the project. But I love it. I love it. There's a lot of things you can do to it. Yeah.
What was the most fun? What did you enjoy the most doing?
The most fun? I think the fun part was actually, as I mentioned earlier, I have all these recipes scattered everywhere. And as soon as I was able to put one of those recipes in there, go to the database and come back, I was like a kid. I was like, yeah, so I was just happy that I got that portion to work, because I started thinking, wow, and by the way, putting recipes in, it takes time. If you wanted to put it, it was taking a long time. That's why I still have a limited recipes in there. But I think, and I'm sure the students will agree, once you get something working, especially a particular thing that you have such a hard time putting together, it's like the greatest feeling. That was real fun seeing that. Yes.
Are these your recipes, or are you finding them out on the internet? And so you might want to add like a attribution field,
right,
so that you don't get any copyright trouble.
Yeah, a lot of these are that I'm finding on the internet. They're really, and some of these don't really have any name to it. It's just a website, and I actually got a lot of it from Facebook. And some of the websites I came up with myself, and it's basically a combination of maybe two recipes. Maybe I'll try a recipe and I thought, it was okay. I want to kick that up a notch. I'll take a few ingredients from another recipe and add it and just create my own. So I have a few, like the portobello mushrooms. That one I came up myself. I think the recipe I saw for that was, I don't remember, some cheese or something, Instead, what I did was I did some salmon and stripped it, stuffed the mushroom with the salmon, combined with some bacon bits. So the salmon with the bacon bits and some sauteed garlic, stuffed it in there, top it off with a little bit of cheese, covered it, and the thing about mushrooms too, they dry up if you don't give it enough water in there. So that one was my own creation, and that one came out actually pretty good. So yeah, it's a combination of both. There are some there, but I understand what you're applying. Right.
People are going to steal your recipes too. So
yeah.
You have to protect them if it's your
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Actually, there's no copyright for recipes.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
I mean, like a book of recipes, that can be, but just like, this is how to cook some chicken.
Right. Yeah, because there are some basic stuff. I mean, it's like nothing. But there are some very unique recipes out there that, some people will tag their names on, because, I mean, like this portobello one, if I put this in public, I'm going to say, hey, this is mine. Okay? So, it wasn't, at this point, such a big concern because it's not out there. But good to know. Thanks. Yes, ma'am.
For like the join us, and if you're like a new user signing up, would you have access to all of these recipes and it's something you could add on to, or is it more like just a place for you to store your own personal recipes?
No, so in the beginning, when I was going through the recipes, those are the recipes that anyone can look at the website and see. So that's the public view. And then if you want to put your own recipes on there, then you register on there. There is one feature that I didn't come around to adding here, and that is a feature to have a choice if you want to put it public or keep it private. Because sometimes I might have a family recipe that I want to keep somewhere, not necessarily have in public. So I want to have that option, make sure that it's private and I'm the only one that can see it. That's actually going to be my next thing to put on here, because that's part of my idea at first, is that I need one location to keep all my recipes. But I figure, why not share them? You know, I know what works, what's good, so I'm going to share it. But yeah, that's one my next move. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I think I'm a guy. Just throwing that out there. Gary, as a working mom, you need to cook quick. So
yes. Mm-hmm.
Second, have you thought about, as far as your database of recipes populates, how they'll be sorted or how you'll be able to present that information so you can easily choose versus kind of scrolling through a couple at a time?
You mean
like if you select chicken, but maybe now there's like 50 different chicken recipes
mm-hmm.
that will populate that database. How do you sort on that?
There's a possibility of taking it to a different level to be more specific. Maybe I don't want, for example, maybe I want rotisserie chicken instead of grill. Be more specific. I haven't really given it thought to get there, but because there are recipe websites that do that. At this time, it's still work in progress, but yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. And I found that. So I was trying to kind of do that in the category section as well, but it could be better defined. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Another idea. I always wanted to have something where I could put in the ingredients I have,
mm-hmm.
and then it would output a recipe and tell me an ideal meal I can make with that. So this could be kind of a reverse thing as well, as you just list the 7 ingredients that you have in your refrigerator and just
right.
what's the best meal I can make with this.
Right. And another idea that I want to add to this is sometimes we purchase these ingredients. You buy these ingredients because you saw it in a recipe and you want to use it. But now you're stuck with it, Molasses is a perfect example. How many recipes out there are molasses? Not too many, but I have a recipe here that calls for that. So as I'm adding more recipes that has molasses in it, I want to be able to, someone to click molasses and it's going to pull other recipes with molasses in it. That's another thing that I have in mind, so that you have some use for that. You know what other meals you can use that ingredients for, especially seasonings. I don't know how many times we buy seasonings for a recipe and it just stays in our cupboard, but that's why, from my experience, I really like going to the bulk items, like at Sprouts, and just buying just enough that I need for the next, couple of weeks. I like seasonings, by the way, they do expire after a while. I like fresh seasonings, so. Any more questions?
Yeah, I really like your products here. And I think you have a really natural, fun presentation style that I think in itself can take you really far.
Great, thank you.
To keep up with that. And I want to touch on something this young lady, mother over here, said, which was a thought I have. I feel like your target audience could be just a little wider than guys, although I think it's a really fun title. I was brainstorming something like Recipe for Bachelors, or
I see.
Gummies or something like that. But I think that one, that latter already exists. But just a thought.
Yeah, and the reason I was more generic is because you don't have to be a single guy to do this. I mean, you could always cook for your wife. You can always do these things for your wife. I was once married, so I had to learn to cook, even though I had a wife, I cooked for her as well. So,
Yeah,
thank you. All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's for dates. I pressed my no, my kids letting me be able to do breakfast. Oh, it's going through, yeah. It goes through the...
Find out exactly what it's like to be a lawyer. Now, we've all seen them on TV, CSI, Law and Order, and I'm guessing you're probably thinking it's a pretty glamorous job.
Yeah,
Bringing hardened criminals to justice, saving the world.
Because of the HDMI, it goes through the HDMI.
So, hello everyone. My name is Sasan, and I'm presenting my project, which is a web game, and called My Virtual Jobs. I joined the Origin Code Academy to follow my passion for technology and learn how to build a game or app, and so I'm happy I was here. So I learned here HTML, C#, JavaScript, SQL Server, Node, Express, CSS, Mongo, jQuery. And I think the best thing I learned here was Angular.js. So for this game, I used Ministack and also used Photoshop to design the map and the icons. My project is available on my GitHub, and that's the URL. So there are two types of users, the gamer one and the partner user. The gamer user, if they watch a video, they make coins, they collect coins, and the partner user can advertise their business. So this is a partner console. There are 4 different tabs. Under account tabs, they can see their account information and change or delete their account. Under ads tab, they can see their ads and also add the new ones. Under the analyze tab, they can see the status of their ads, and under the payment tabs, they can buy coins, see their balance, and see the payment history also. Under the ads tab, when user wants to add a new ad. Each ad needs one image ad and one video ad. For the image one, I use File Stack. It's a plugin for Angular. You can search the web and also use other resources like your computer, Facebook, Instagram. And for the video part, I use the YouTube. So this game needs the video ID. Everything after the equal sign on YouTube is going to be the video ID. User needs to copy that and paste it to the gamer console. So this is the gamer console. There are 3 different tabs. This is the gamer console. There are 16 different business building and 1 school. This is the school. Users wants to make money, but they need a job. Each job needs degrees. So user must go to the school, get the degree, and then go forward for the job. This is the school. There are 5 different type of degrees available here. And when you click on each building, there are some jobs posted on each building. This is the name of the partner user, job title, the requirement degree, this is bachelor, and the income rates. When you click on the watch button, if you have the degree, you can watch the video. So okay, let's start with the partner user. I'm gonna add.
Maybe we'll have origin.com.
When you start the game, you got 100 coins. So this is the account tab. You can see your account information, change it or delete it. Here I'm gonna add a new ad. This is the File Stack plugin. And now I want to select a category. Then YouTube. This is the video ID. Copy that. Paste it here and submit. Your ad is here. If you want, you can delete it, or this is the wage rate. Under the analyze, you can see the status of your ad. And here's the payment tab. You can see the payment history. This is your balance, payout history, and you can buy coins. So I'm gonna buy some coins for this user. It connect to the PayPal. You can use your own PayPal or your credit card or the gift card. I'm gonna use gift card. It's a gift card.
How big is the gift card?
$6.
You can have a little bit of 5.
Okay, it's successful. Okay, you got your payment was successful. Close this one, and it takes you some. So, oh yeah. After you make the payment, you need to click on this button. So the payment was not successful. I don't know why.
This is an accept gift cards.
Maybe, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna use the gamer user. It's not okay. So this is the gamer console. There are 16 different buildings. There is no job here. There are 3 jobs here. So the first one is associate degree. This user doesn't have the associate degree for this building, so he needs to go to the school and get this degree. Associate degree, select the category. So it says this user needs like 44 likes to get the degrees. So like 44 times. Click on each image.
you get that music from?
I downloaded. So when you got 44 likes, you can see this bottom. You need to pay 81 coins to get the degree. So, and the degree is going to be added here, your profile. These are your degrees. This one is the last one, associate degree for the law. And now if you click on that, you can watch the video. So you need to click on the video first, and then click on the green button.
As a kid, whenever I would visit the fire station, I was scared of the truck.
After 1 minute, you can click on this button and collect the coins. So you need to watch the video for 1 minute. So now you got 3 coins, and it will be added to your balance. Your balance is here. So when you got more than 1,000 coins, you can withdraw from the game, and it sends the request to the admin, and admin can send you your money. School for doctor, you need like 160 clicks, 160 likes. It's different for each one. Diploma is like 20 clicks. And this is the help. This is a guide for how to play with screenshots. All the buildings and available jobs. All the degrees and all the jobs, their category and their wage. That's it.
No, seriously, wow, that's impressive. A lot of work went into that.
Thank you.
How did you like doing the PayPal integration?
It was very difficult. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just say that out of everything I saw, that was probably the most difficult and probably something that gave you the most stress, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Did you do all your custom CSS, like the floating around, like all the different schools and stuff? How did you do that?
Yeah, my CSS file has like 700 lines.
So, when you cash out, you're actually cashing out and getting real money, right?
Yeah.
Right. So isn't it like $78 for every 100 coins? That you
For 1,000 coins, it's gonna be like $80, $79. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's first. Well, a couple things. One is, how do you authenticate that the person's actually sitting there watching a video instead of, just automating the process of validating and watching the video. And then the second thing is, well, I'll leave it at that for now, but how do you authenticate that the person is who's actually a human sitting there? And then the second part was, what type of customers, like how do you identify who the user is? So it's not just a bunch of guys, that aren't really ideal candidates for the
right. Yeah, right now there is no that kind of rule, but maybe in future I'm gonna add that. So right now there's no. Yeah.
If I wanted to use this service to advertise for business, what would the fee be to use the service? What would it cost? Like she pointed out earlier, it's $79 for 1,000 coins per user.
Yeah.
So for a business to advertise, what would it be?
So the partner user are gonna pay the gamer user. You got 100 coins, and when the user watch the video, like you see that, he got 3 coins. These 3 coins, that partner coins pay that 3 coins.
So there's no, the site itself isn't taking a percentage?
There is the admin. This is the admin console. When someone withdraw from the game, the admin can see here the information.
I think the economics of this might need a bit of work. But otherwise, I really like the functionality that went into that, because you can imagine this going into, once you got into the real world, you just picked up a lot of very, very useful skills, especially for like transferring money in and out of systems. There's games companies who need that all the time.
Yeah. Yes.
I think this is super impressive. It's awesome. Do you have any experience coding before this course?
A little bit HTML and a little bit PHP. That's it.
Yeah, very cool.
Thank you.
So you learned most of the skills to create that just in the last.
Yeah, here.
That's good. It's impressive.
Thank you.
Even I'm shocked. This is awesome.
Thank you. Yes.
To create the terrain and like the schools and businesses and all that, did you design that by like yourself, or did you do templates?
I designed the map, but the icons I download them, but I changed them. Yeah.
But it's just like I'm still stuck on like that game screen where you have like all the like things around. That's just like position using CSS, right? And, like hover events and stuff.
Yeah.
Not giving away the secrets.
No, it's just cool. It's not something you see every day. It's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Nice work, dude.
Question about the PayPal. So when the user cashes out, the admin, so their PayPal is connected as well, and they're the ones who pay the user, so the $80.
The admin, admin has the PayPal account. When you send the request, he can send the money to your email address. It's easy.
That's cool. It's really cool.
On that PayPal, I've done several too, and I know it's a pain, but Stripe takes under a half an hour to integrate into a website. It's just unbelievable how easy it is. So I really encourage that if you're not bound to PayPal because of the things some of the founders of PayPal left on Stripe, and it's just mind-blowingly easy compared to and then they take the same rate, like 2.8%. It's really it's a great integration.
Yes.
I might have missed it, but why did you choose PayPal over, say, like Braintree or Stripe or something?
I was trying to find a way for the payment, like 2 days.
Why specifically PayPal?
So after 2 days, I decided to select the PayPal because that was very difficult for me. That was the only solution for me.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
You want to wear the mic? All right, well, I got to get this set up. Good afternoon, you guys. My name is Fabian. This is Jack. The project that we worked on today, or that we've been working on, is called Target Safe. Thank you for Jerry, who's actually the product owner. And with his help, we actually came up with a way to fix a problem that's out there. So before we go any further, we're actually going to go into an introduction. Jack's going to start it off.
Yes. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jack Curry. Before here, I retired military for 20 years. Pretty much did logistics support, administration support, some finance in there. But through that time, back in old school, I was doing some old HTML way back when, like way back when. So I was kind of the homepage manager for them for a while. Then I was always fascinated by coding and old coding, but so I never really got involved that much. I was too busy in the military. But after the military, or during the military, the last 4 years, I started getting involved in WordPress, WordPress blogging. So I did a lot of WordPress blogging and started building blogs for people and doing that. And then, but again, I was so busy in the military. So I was finished up the military, get out. so after 20 years, I finally got out. And then I worked for Northrop Grumman. Then I get laid off from there. And then I saw the commercial for Oregon Code Academy, so I'm destined to go do coding. So anyway, that's long story short. I came here and did that, and it pretty much literally changed my life. I think just 3 months, and that's where I am.
For me, a little bit of background on myself. I used to be a manager for Sprint. I was working there for about 5 to 6 total years, and I handled the sales part in the retail locations. So, being with Sprint, the reason I actually have I have a long time in the telecommunications industry. The main thing that I liked about it was technology. I mean, I love phones. I mean, the ability that you could do, or what you could do with your cell phone is amazing. And not only that, you also have like mobile broadband device, all this other stuff, right? But it's just the technology that you had in the palm of your hands. That's what drew me to it. Plus sales, love meeting new people, hearing their stories, and on top of that, the analytical skills you pick up, the problem-solving skills. Somebody comes in and they have an issue with their account. You got to figure out different ways to do that. So that also interested me as well. It came to the point, though, where I wanted to make a change, not only for myself, but also for my family. Excuse me. Sorry. Being with Sprint took me into the technology side. I wanted to get more into it, to just get to know like how everything happens. You know, working with cell phones, you come up with different ideas. Like, oh yeah, I could come up with some app like that, or fix a problem or something, right? Well, how do you do that though? You gotta learn how to code, right? You gotta learn the actual inner workings of everything. So I started thinking about that, and for a little bit, I decided I was gonna, hey, let me teach myself. Let me try to learn how to do an Android app, and you know, mess around with the SDKs and all this other stuff. And it was pretty difficult. It wasn't easy. Origin Code Academy came along, and I started researching. You know, not only actually, I was trying to research. You know, going to school, going to like a college, and learning all this. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna take me X amount of time, and you know, all this other stuff. And started looking at the cost and the time, and I was just like, man, that's forever. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be expert anymore. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It gave me a whole bunch of different opportunities. I met a lot of different people, got to network. Long story short, I decided to change roles, came to Origin Code Academy, and started my journey to become a software developer. Jack's going to go, I'm going to pass it over to Jack. He's going to go over some of the items, some of the takeaways he actually got from Origin.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for me is thinking like an engineer mindset. Before, you know, I didn't really have that challenge before I could collaborate with other people and stuff like that. So now, thinking like an engineer, by the time you're done in three months, you're thinking like that. You're thinking about putting these functions together and stuff like that. So, you know, you start to see it. And that was the biggest takeaway for me, I think. And also, yeah, just same thing. Just being able to collaborate with everybody and work together and like on GitHub and all that stuff, you know, put the functions together, definitely was the biggest takeaway for me.
As for me, for Origin Code Academy, not only, you know, working, obviously you have individual projects and stuff, but at the same time you worked as a team, as a couple of guys mentioned. For me also, I have a saying that I tell myself, you know, I was, in the beginning, the first couple of weeks, I was just like, man, I'm going through all this stuff, like everything's breaking, it's not working, what am I doing? But I realized that it's actually, you know, it helped build my character. So, you know, it's something that you don't take for granted. You know, at the end of the day, if, you know, wherever you're at, whatever company you're working for, and, you know, they get you, you know, this problem, what are you going to do? You know, you got to step up, right? You got to make this happen. So that's one thing I learned through Origin. And just the fact that when you have a problem and you hit that wall, oh my God, and you're able to fix it, that's the best feeling in the world. Yeah, that's the best feeling in the world. To me, it was when I was working at Sprint, it was when somebody said, hey, Fabian, you know what? You did an awesome job. Thank you. You know, just the thanks, that was exhilarating for me. Going into coding, it's when you fix a problem. Oh my God, I can't explain it. It's fantastic.
It's like when the puppy comes home, you know, your puppy's there waiting for you.
Yeah. Way better than that. So it was really awesome. Going back to our project, again, the name of the project is called Target Safe. Again, our project owner is actually here. There's a problem that, you know, that's out there, and Jerry explained, basically it's an influx of, currently there's an influx of alcohol-related incidents from particular outlets, and currently there's no way to hold them accountable. So what we did, and with the help of Jerry, was create a web application that's basically going to be able to start tracking that information and start holding these, in reality there's only a few that are repeat offenders that this problem is happening. So some of the technologies that we use, I'll let Jack talk about that right now.
So pretty much everybody else was using. We used AngularJS, the front end, Node.js, and Express together. PostSQL, Perl, Bootstrap for the build the whole entire form pretty much framework, and then we use Google API, Google Places for some of the search.
Yeah, so Perl and Google APIs are some of the third-party things that we use in order to get our application, our web application working. We decided to go with, we're going to use the mean stack like everybody else did. Our product owner actually had some information though already on Postgres. So what we decided to do is we pivoted and decided to go with Postgres and make it work with everything else that we were going to be using. So this right here is our web application that we have. Jack's going to go fill some of the information out for us. Essentially what we have here on the very top, the police department. So whatever department decides to pick this up, they'll be able to select from a drop-down from there, and it'll pull that information, their county that they're in.
Yeah. This. Oh. All right.
So this web application is, the person filling this out, whether it's actually mobile ready as well. So you'll be able to use this on, let's say, a tablet or an iPhone device or an Android device. It's already ready for you to go. Or if you're back at the office and you have to fill this information out, you can do that as well. So again, Jeff's just going to fill this information out. We have, like, for example, the rest date, a stop type, a rest time. So this is all the information that's that the officer would be collecting at the time of the scene. And he, again, depending on the department, maybe they'll be able to fill everything out, on their mobile device. Or if they're not allowed to use a mobile device, they can go back to their office and fill everything out.
Can I add one thing just to give?
Yeah, Jerry, go for it.
This is a survey that's taken by a police officer when they pull over and arrest a drunk driver. So this is basically, they ask the drunk driver, where did you drink last? And the idea is to record which bars and restaurants are mentioned the most, and that helps the police identify problematic outlets. So this is more a survey taken at that time after the arrest.
And again, this is Jerry. He's our product owner. So right here, what we have is we actually have, for example, Jack's going to enter in an address. As you can see, we're using Google's API. That's one of the things that we ran into a little issue. We're having to load it into our site, so that was fun to work with. We'll go in a little bit more details regarding that later. Again, you can pick. Everything's running off of Google, so no matter where you're at, it's actually going to pick up your location that you're at. So it'll find something similar, like, for example, it's reading San Diego, so it'll find locations around you. But if you needed to find something, for example, that's in Orange County, you would be able to do so as well. Just put in the exact address. Yeah. So right here, what he's doing is selecting what type of location. This information we're actually pulling from the database, from Postgres. And we're using the lookup tables for that. We created the schemas and everything for that. And then we're using, for example, NG options. So for here, Jack selected a bar. Normally, it's the information you get is gonna, that you want to pass into whatever is gonna be bar. But what we were able to do with NG options is specify we want the user to see this. But we don't want that information. We want a particular ID that's attached to that. So by using NG options along with NG model, which we changed a little bit, we were actually able to get different data from what the actual user sees. If the place is out of county, you'd be able to check the out of county. Everything else is pre-filled out just to get this moving a little bit. If you slide all the way down, Jack, he's going to actually submit it. Once the information is submitted, there's a notification right here on top. Basically, it says, hey, the information was completed. If, for example, Let's say I do have asterisks near items that need to be filled out. So for example, if they forget to put in something that is required, they will get a notification saying that, for example, rest date is required. So you would have to, the user would have to input that information. And again, you can just go ahead and change it and submit the information.
From this point here, you could also update it, yeah, from that point without refreshing it if you wanted to, and submit it again, new entry. But if you want to do the whole form, just refresh it, you need to do.
One of the main reasons why I decided to go with Jerry and work on his project, a little bit about my background is not only did I work for Sprint, but I also was a bouncer for a little bit. That was very interesting, to say the least, obviously, you know, but seeing some of your friends go, and by the time they're ready to leave, like, you know, they're your friends, and you don't want them to leave if they're already drunk, you know, so I personally would take them home, you know, so they wouldn't have to drive, because you see this a lot, unfortunately, you know, so that's one of the reasons why I decided to go with Jerry and work on this this application, because it actually has real world value out there that, you know, we need for our communities. So what we're going to do next is to talk about some of the hurdles and stuff that we went through building this application. Jerry, thank you. I appreciate, you know, allowing us to work on this, because I did learn a lot from this. I mentioned NG options, right? So being able to display something but pick something else, I never done before. I didn't know if it was even available. So being able to look at the documentation and figure this stuff out, do the research, look on Stack Overflow, you know, probably as any developer, you know, Stack Overflow is your friend. Also Google, you know, it's fantastic. You know, to be able to see that information and actually translate it into your code is fantastic. Another thing is that, yeah, it's a form, and there's 41 different objects, 41 different things that you got to grab and submit this information, right? Usually, before I started this, I would have created 41 different objects and put it inside and then submitted everything. So working on this project, I actually learned how to manipulate NG model by, instead of just passing in just one single object, I was able to create an object with a property. So I created 41 different properties with one object. So when I went to go send this information in, I just sent one thing. I thought that was mind-blowing for me. Mind-blowing, because I didn't have to do so much extra work on this. I could just, you know, like Rick said, efficient, right? You got to work efficiently. So that's another thing I learned using this application. And you want to add?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I think one of our biggest tasks too was just doing the unbelievably just getting the time to be the right time. So at the very top here, right here we have to the arrest time. It looks all good on here, but when it was coming out, when it was posting before it was going to our server, it was showing up. It wouldn't take it. It was showing UTC time. So we had to convert it to UTC time. So we actually had to make another function in there, another variance was too local time to convert it in there. So we had to convert it to actually make it read it. And then at first that took us all day. That took a long time until I figured it out. Yeah. But after that was done, you know, it was great. That was one of the hardest ones, but the time was able to read it. After that, also being able to put the lookup tables, pretty much start from scratch, adding lookup tables in the Postgres database, and then be able to call them from the Express was, you know, a really good achievement for that. You know, to connect to those, and then have them show up just by putting them there. So you don't have to do any options or anything like that. Everything's come from the database. Everything's being looked up. So if you want to update, Postgres was a lot more easy to work for me. At first I thought it was going to be hard, like MySQL, but then Postgres, you can actually go in there, you can manipulate it more, and we were able to go in there, you could change tables, you could go in there, you could change the lookups. It wasn't that bad once you learn how to do the code there. So and it's quicker too, I thought.
Yeah, another thing is, before I started this project, I had no coding experience whatsoever, like zero. And, having Jack say, it's easy and stuff. It's amazing how much information you can actually get within this first 3 months. So, to be able to going with talking to the project owner and having his idea and translating it into something actually functional was super awesome. And again, thanks, Jared. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to add? That's it. Any questions? Yeah.
Will you guys be able to demo the admin panel today?
The admin panel for Postgres? So there's no login. So one of the functionalities was our product owner didn't want to log in. So you basically, what we would do, and Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, we would be able to give this to a department, and they would be able to create their own database and everything.
Well, that's really this was one facet of it. Is that it's meant to plug into a bigger system that I'm working on that includes all the licensing and enforcement data for the whole state. So the idea is this is a module that would plug in and let police stations that use the tool access it, and then it access the administrative side on my bigger website.
Okay.
So this is more
there's a connection to something existing, something bigger.
It's really just data only at this stage.
Correct. Yeah. So basically, what we're doing is we're collecting the analytics part in order to use for future reference.
And the big reason for Postgres is because it's all geospatial, and when you use PostGIS as a plugin, you can track where the person was last drinking, where they were arrested, and where they were headed, and you can start showing communities the trajectories of drunk drivers, and that helps law enforcement and communities plan transit and alternative transportation and enforcement, things like that. But it really is that the goal is to help the police identify the very few bars and restaurants that are the most problematic, because in PB, for instance, there's one bar that was mentioned 25% of the time, 4 years in a row, as being the bar that drunk drivers were coming out of. So hundreds of people are coming out of this bar every year, and the police didn't know who it was because they were, because we couldn't share the information. So this is a tool for the police to use it directly and to use it as a predictive analytical vehicle as well.
Wow. Any other questions? Yes, Richard.
So I'm curious, is there a current form that law enforcement would use to track information such as this? Obviously without finding bars and whatnot. Is this more of a replacement or an add-on to the current information we track?
It's a great question. Thank you. So there's a certain institute that wanted to create a good practice. It's either you use it or you don't. For example, Jerry has some information. Again, he's been using this, entering information into Postgres already. He's been collecting data that's just a survey that people get from the DUI class. If you want more information, we can have a sidebar on that with Jerry after our presentation. Yes?
Just kind of same question I had for the last year, what was your process like, and how you split up the workflow?
Sure, yeah. Well, when we first started, I pretty much, I didn't bring the front end at first. Helped just jump into built the form. We had to build it from scratch. So first thing we did is outline the whole form, got it built, and then we started working on the back end. Started getting the Postgres part of it, the server and Express and Node going. So and then we pretty much stayed the same boat for a while. But then we start running into challenges later on. We both start hitting the back end. Our functions or front, whatever Angular, whatever functions might not working, we're hitting it together. But at the beginning, I was working front end, he was working back end.
Yeah, and with the help with our product owner, he was able to come up with an outline of how he would like the website to look like, the web application.
Oh, yes,
and so we use that in conjunction. So again, part of being in a group, we learned how to use GitHub and version control properly. That is indispensable to me, because if I wasn't working on this project, I probably would have learned this on the job, and that's not good. So being able to learn that here in the class was actually really fantastic. So like he said, we were working in the back end together, and he would make a change and I would make a change, and then when we go to commit, we're like, whoops, wait a minute, there's some problems here. So we were able to learn how to figure that stuff out. It's actually pretty easy once you come down to it. Like, it tells you this is ahead, this is what's new, this was what changed. Then we collaborated together to bring everything together. So
we looked at really good at doing branches, branching off. I mean,
doing fresh pulls.
Pretty simple now to do. In my sleep, I'm doing it now. So, but yeah, it started getting easier. But that's pretty much how we kept track of everything. Kept branching every day.
I did want to say thank you guys really for your work, because this is something that would have taken me another year to get to, and this, when we start getting it implemented in different police departments, we'll end up saving lives. So it's one of those things that seems like a real simple interface, but it really ends up being a tool that'll be used to make a big difference. So thank you so much for your work.
And real quick, I just wanted to show you guys, again, it's mobile ready. So that's one of the ideas that we had, is to actually make this available to police officers if they had a mobile device, that they could fill it out right there on the spot. So for example, if they had an Android device, they would still be able to use it. Everything collapses how it should be. If they had an iPhone, it gets the same information. If they flip it around, so everything's mobile ready, as well as, like I said, if you wanted to fill this out at the office, you could do the same, but it's not necessary. Any other questions?
One suggestion, I think,
Yes.
to change, at least for the interface, so it's not like scrolling so much.
Yes.
Each of those categories would do really well as like a wizard step. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, you fill out like 1 to 7 steps and stuff like that. So I think that'd be a really great, like, just a UX change to, like, kind of it gets more people to fill it out.
With tabs.
With tabs, yeah.
So I'm actually glad you mentioned that. One of the things that we want to implement, so right now it's running on UI Router.
Yeah, exactly.
If I didn't have enough, if there wasn't enough issues that came up all of a sudden, one of the actually core functionalities. Oh no, definitely. One of the core functionalities is that each panel would just be right there, just like you said. So there would be like a pagination or something where it says, all right, you're like on step 2 of 3 or whatever. And that way it gives the department something a little bit nicer to work on, instead of just something, all right, I got another form to fill out. So, we were trying to, if time permitted, and that, if Jerry wants to, that's something that I think would be very helpful, because it takes away some of the mundane part of filling something out. So, yeah.
Make it as quick as possible.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Thank you, guys. We appreciate your time.
Hi, my name is Jim Yonke. I'm always at the end of the list anyway. The name will begin with Y. A little bit about myself. I'm a San Diego State grad. I have a computer science degree. I earned quite some time ago. I worked as a C++ programmer for Computer Sciences Corporation, Fujitsu Retail Systems, and most recently Nokia, before then MK, when Microsoft bought them out. Decided to join. Originally, I just wanted to see what the web development process was. My experience in the past has been pretty much an application programmer using the Microsoft stack. I just wanted to see what else was out there. Then out of work, well, actually, I haven't been programming for the past 10 years. My last job with Nokia was more production related, so just trying to get back into it. My project is actually for me. I don't really have any great plans on publishing this. I have a large MP3 audio file collection that I've collected over the years, and I have got no way of managing them other than searching in File Explorer. So I decided to build myself a little database manager and do some easy lookups and stuff like that. And in my database, I'm saving the tag information, which I'll get into in just a little bit more. But keep the database size down. I'm not actually saving the MP3 file in the database. Just looking for information to sort on, such as the artist name and track name. And let's see here. These standard technologies will all come to learn and love. I kind of stayed with Microsoft here. I'm using the framework as SQL Server is running back in. Because we all probably familiar with MP3 files. They were created by Phillips and Van Hoffer Institute in Europe. They're actually compressed information that makes the files smaller. What I'm really after is the tags that are appended at the back and front of the file. There are two versions that were created. Version 1 was appended at the back and very small. And it was great until people started streaming files, and then you need some way to actually get the tag first before the audio stream came out. So version 2 was created. It goes at the front of the file now, so we get all that information. We also increased the information, the size, you can put in lyrics and track information, so time, and even licensing information if needed. So what I would come up with is a kind of a two-stage process on thinking of. I've got more than one computer at home. I've got two computers that I've got music on. And so I came up with a node server that will, when commanded, it will find the files and pull the tag information out of the header. So I'm searching for artist, album name, and track, and music genre to start. After that, there's also an option to store album art and cover art. I took quite some time. This is my first library that I used. Didn't do a very good job of pulling the art information out, so I was trying to look for another way around it. And there's a program called MMF-MPEG, and it's used to help people create both audio and video files. And so I ended up spending about 5 hours trying to get this thing to go first, and then found this, and it turned out to be about a 10-minute changeover job and 4 lines of code. And so I can pull the file, picture out, and I don't have to do any conversion or anything to save it. So that really helped. That. After I did take the tag information out, put it in the JSON package, and I pass it back up to my manager. And then that goes in the database where I can search on it and pull the music that I want out. So it's just a simple way. You've got both node servers on each of my two databases that I have. That just goes up to my master DB, my master PC. Pretty straight. UI manager is very simple right now. I just load the albums into the DB, and I can search for music, and I can create a small playlist. Yeah. And again, I can just create a playlist and just show the tag information along with it, using just a simple audio, HTML5 audio tag to play a nice little player comes up by the side. So, it's a quick little demo. Here, I got my Node server running. Like that. Fortunately, I tried to find a widget to help load the files that the folders that I wanted, and I could not find one. They always wanted to drill down and wanted you to select a file. So I've got to do this the old-fashioned way, do the miracle of cut and paste. So this will talk to the Node server real quick, and we'll load the files into the database pretty easily. And we're going to simple search. Kind of keep that. So simply display album information, the artist, and an image. And it should be able to we've all heard Beethoven's Ninth, so we'll do it. That's as far as I'll go. So try to keep this as simple as possible. And so got a few future plans. One, I'd like to create an editor for it. I want to see if I can actually try and make a change in the database and then echo the changes back into the MP3 file. And I also like to see if I can call up maybe Amazon or a free CD database if a number of my files don't have tag information. And then support for some of the other formats. So, nice, simple, and quick. Sure.
So the server that you set up takes any file as an MP3 on your computer system and
Yes.
loads it?
Yes.
Will you be making this like open to?
Oh yeah, I'm putting it on GitHub. And, yeah. I'd like to thank Cameron because I got a good little lesson in promises. Because I think we spent about an hour and a half of that day. My little traversal routine is actually recursive, and I had some trouble handling the promises. And so we really had to sit down and I kind of let you do your thing. But I got a real lesson to handle all the promises. So thank you very much.
It's a good time.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't know if I missed it, but I couldn't quite see what it is you search for. Did you search for artists?
That was the album.
So you can search by like artists and
Yep. Some of my searches just still need some polishing. Yeah.
It's funny, I kind of see this as, does anyone use Plex?
Yeah.
Plex? Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like Plex for audio.
Yeah. Maybe in the future also support video files and maybe photos.
So you said, this it like saves the path of the MP3 file in the database, right?
That's right.
And you mentioned that you could create a playlist. How does that get saved?
That's another future thing. I couldn't log on and register here. Logging on will give you a user ID, just to save the track by user.
Okay.
Bring it back. So another thing that I didn't quite get to.
Can I ask, because a lot of people have iTunes,
yes.
I won't use but is there a way for you to maybe put in the URL of the iTunes? Like, I don't know if they have an API where you could feed, so people could keep a collection of their MP3s they got somewhere else and then their iTunes, but so have this as a homemade.
Yes, I don't know to tell you the truth. I'd have to do some research. Of course, you'd have to have an iTunes account.
Because personally, that would let me break free of iTunes and be more independent.
independent because I just hate being steered in that.
You said that this pulls all the MP3 files from your system. So if the files are stored locally on the computer in iTunes, then it would pull the tags from those files.
That's correct.
And register them as well.
That's correct. And really, I'm just concentrating on MP3 files right now. You know, but also, of course, a lot of iTunes files are DRM, and may not allow access or playback.
So I have a question. Could you theoretically run this, like this web server, and open up the port and open up your firewalls like that so you can access it from the outside? Could you potentially, like, I could be my computer could be running at home, it could be running MP3 aggregator. I sit here in Origin and basically like play my MP3 files.
Right now, you probably could. There are lots of legal issues for streaming music files, like the two gentlemen that came in and gave us that talk that a few months ago. And you want to deal with the music industry, you bring money, you bring lawyers.
It wasn't Napster born here in San Diego with Michael Robinson.
At mp3.com.
Or mp3.com, right?
No, that he got sued. Around.
Just release it. I mean, all it is an open source piece of software that just lets you stream MP3 files. It's not your fault.
Yes. Then you'll give it to the access to your friend, and then he'll do
You become a Spotify.
A million people.
That's cool. But theoretically, you'd be able to do that.
Theoretically.
Bring the lawyer.
Bring the lawyer. Bring the money.
Very good. Sean, Cameron, and Jeff, thank you very much. God, for your help. I took a little bit of a break from it. Let me come back and finish up. But thank you.
Good job.
Awesome. In a sec, we'll have Sean come up and give everybody their certificate. But I just want to say good job to this class graduating. And also, I want to give a hand to everyone that supported them, whether it be their friends or their family, because I know sometimes this place makes your significant other hate you because of how much time you spend here or spend staring at your computer. So I just want to thank them and the people that supported them. So good job. Go grab them. We're going to have food in the other room as soon as Sean is done sharing. So the pizza's already over there. The beer's already over there. If you're under 21, I know who you are. So please don't make me deal with that. Everybody's not looking at those people. So as soon as Sean's done, we'll head over next door, and then we'll be good to go. Thanks.
All right, at this time I'm going to hand out the certificates of completion to the students. Jason Luna, come on up.
Thanks,
Sean. Thank you. Good job. Ali Sultanzada.
Thanks, Sean.
Good job. Davian Martinez. Jack Curry. Max Srethabakti. Rick Nogueras. Sasan Bazada. Finally, this comes from both Cameron and I. James Yankee. Thank Thank you all for coming today. Please stick around to chat. Come over for some pizza and beer next door.